Thank you so very much. We have today as a guest Ebrahima Chongan, who used to be the director of Gendarmerie of the Gambia and who's a well-seasoned officer from in France. Mr. Chongan, welcome to Las Vegas.
Thank you, Mr. Bo. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is my pleasure to ask you the first question with the new transition, which is most likely going to happen in Senegal. So what is your point of view about what happened today in Senegal?
Well, what is happening in Senegal today is a very momentous occasion that is being played out in front of our eyes. But this also shows the majority of the Senegalese people. I mean, they have a history of electioneering for over 100 years, and in the last 50 years, they have got a democracy. And if people can rightly remember, in 2000, when the opposition won, and what we are witnessing today, it seems that there's going to be a new dispensation in Senegal. I mean, the ruling party is not winning at the first round. So, I mean, this has demonstrated that the majority of the Senegalese people do not want the present government. I mean, this is not any accident. That is why the government tried to pass that law for 25% of the vote to win the election, because this is a reflection of what started in June, which created this M23. So we are very hopeful that the Senegalese president will act in dignity and wisdom and handle power wisely so that there is the continuity of the Senegalese state. I mean, presidents will come and go. Leopold Sedar Senghor was there, Abdou Diouf was there, Lai Wade has been there, tomorrow another person, Macky Sall or Niasse or anybody. But what is important is there is a continuity of the Senegalese state.
What does it mean for the Gambian people? What type of hope the Gambian people should have right now?
I think this is a very interesting moment, and we Gambians are very hopeful because all of us know what is happening. You cannot have a democratic Senegal and an undemocratic Gambia. And also we are all aware of what has been happening, the rebellion in southern Senegal and Casamance, with all the implications. And so I think a new government will take stock, and then there should be some kind of engagement, not only between Senegalese government and the present government that's there, and also the majority of the Gambian people, especially those in the diaspora, so that we can engage and try to solve the Gambian problem, because it is to the interest of the two nations. An unstable, undemocratic Gambia is not good for Senegal. I mean, you all know that we have over 300,000 or 400,000 Senegalese citizens in the Gambia. So it's to the interest of the Senegalese government and people that you have a free, democratic Gambia, which is rule of law is the norms with strong institutions of the state.
At the early day of the coup, you were arrested by the present regime, the regime of Jammeh. And then you were tortured and all those things, and then you went to exile in London. So how can you qualify this dictator, Jammeh, and what he is doing?
Well, I mean, I think what is happening in the Gambia is well documented, well both in terms of written and audio and visual, because in Gambia now there is no rule of law, there is no freedom of expression. I mean, you look at our Senegalese cousin, you have your private TVs, World Fajri, Doses TV, TFM, and even LTS to some extent. You know, they bring the people of the opposition, they sit down, they debate intellectually. I'm not saying that the Senegalese democracy is 100%, but for us in Gambia, nobody cannot talk. Even the Gambians who are in exile or outside, they're afraid to talk because they tell us, oh, if you talk, your family, etc. I mean, how can a country develop where there's no freedom of expression, there's no rule of law? You know, where all the institutions of the states have been progressively destroyed. I mean, it's just a question of, I mean, who you know, who is loyal to you, but not who is qualified to do the job. I mean, it's a very sad situation for the Gambia. where you have 65% of the Gambian intelligentsia, you know, Gambian people who are educated or who have skills, have all left the country.
So considering this type of brain drain that is not something that they wanted to do, is against their will apparently, because nobody wants just to stay in the Gambia and keep on suffering. So now, what will be the new strategy that the Gambians abroad should take to overthrow this government?
Well, I won't say overthrow. I'm
But I mean,
not involved in.
No, I'm talking about to defeat,
to bring change,
to bring change.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we had a symposium just about a couple of days ago, on the 18th of February in London. We brought about very decent Gambians, very highly educated Gambians, and we sat down and we were discussing the way forward, because we all know what has happened. And as I said in that meeting, I think the first thing we need to have a strong organization, diaspora organization, which is global, which is not just London-centric, which is linked with London, the guys in America here, the guys in Asia, the guys in West Africa, a strong diaspora organization. And I think right now is the time to do that, so that we can engage the new powers in Senegal to sit down and see how do we solve the Gambian problem. There are many options. Some Gambians might not like it, but you also got to understand where Gambia is. You know, I'm open to dialogue, but a genuine dialogue which is guaranteed by Senegal, so that we sit down, we see, figure out how do we solve the Gambian problem. We need to re-establish the rule of law. We need to have free and fair elections. It's very easy to sit here in London or America to criticize the Gambian opposition. It's like the Senegalese opposition. If you are opposition in Gambia, if you are not careful, you disappear. So it is only the diaspora who are outside who should be able to talk and also make our people aware, because it is time for defiance. We have seen that dictatorship never lasts. We have seen what has happened to Mobutu, Mengistu, Samuel Doe, and recently, you know, Mubarak of Egypt, Gaddafi. You know, it doesn't matter whether you build bridges or you make an airport. If the people don't have liberty, don't have freedom of expression, I mean, nobody wants to be enslaved. We are in the 24th century.
Isn't it a shame for Africa at this very moment of our independence? We fought for independence, we got independence, but yet people are waiting for us, the international community, everybody is waiting for us also to deliver results. But we cannot do anything. So because of bad governance and all those things, how can we solve this problem forever?
I think the first thing is we have to develop our institutions, our state institutions. Our problem in Africa is we have very weak institutions, and everything is centered as a strong man. And okay, there are some exceptions. Senegal was a typical example, and it's a typical example, almost leading the way in Africa.
Absolutely.
Where you have strong institutions. You have an army which has never went out with all these demonstrations that were happening. The private TVs were broadcasting it live, people were seeing it, and your army has never came out of the street, they stood by. Okay, the police have made some mistakes, like in any big demonstration, there is bound to happen some mistakes, mishaps, and there. But, you know, the Senegalese people have so real maturity in trying to overwhelmingly vote against the incumbent party. So that shows you that, but this also is not new. This has been established by Senghor, reinforced by Abdou Diouf. So, I mean, by the time Lawada came to power, during Abdou Diouf's time, you had lots of private radios. Lawada came and increased the private televisions. So, I mean, our situation in Gambia is completely different. You know, we have an autocracy there where nobody's paid, there is no private newspaper, there's no private TV, everything is monopolized by one person. So it's a difficult and a dangerous situation. Not the people are unhappy, but everybody is scared. And we have to, as Gambia, have to break the fear barrier, as has happened in Egypt, as has happened in Libya. And, you know, we have a lot of hope. If there is a new dispensation in Senegal, that they will engage with the Gambian people, especially those Gambians in the diaspora. And I see this opportunity to tell them that they should come together and unite and form a global diaspora organization so that they can engage the new powers that will be in Senegal and in the region and in the wider world. And we also figure out how do we rebuild our institutions, our state institutions. It's not only the state institutions, even civil society has collapsed in Gambia.
Absolutely.
At least in Senegal, when I sit down and listen to Senegalese TV or radio, even the Senegalese man in the street is conscious. He knows what. But in Gambia, everybody has turned to become a puppet, which is very sad.
It's absolutely sad. And then today we heard that the Secretary of State, Clinton, called the President Assad to stop massacring his own people. So what is going on in the world right now? Why people want this to stay in power indefinitely?
But those days are over. I mean, we live in the 21st century, and people want liberty. People are not going to be cowards. You know, we all know what happened, where all this started from Tunisia, the Arab Spring. And I'm very happy that Senegal is leading the sub-Saharan Spring in a democratic way.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chongan.
Thank you, Mr. Bo.